Let me start by saying this today, viewers, that when it comes to abortion, India has been one of the most progressive countries in the world. Take, for example, the case of United States, where thousands of women protest time and again to let them have a right over their bodies. Compare this with India, where we let the woman decide whether she wants the baby or not, regardless of her marital status. A landmark judgment that was given by the Supreme Court 1 year back. However, today, in the fight between right to choice and right to life, the Supreme Court chose the rights of an unborn child. In the case where a woman sought permission to terminate her 26-week-old pregnancy, the Supreme Court turned down the request. The court emphasized that termination was not permissible as it had surpassed the 24-week threshold, which is prescribed by the country's Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. It also stated that there were no identified fetal abnormalities according to the two AIMS reports that were presented before the court, and a point that the woman had made in her argument. She had told the court that she suffers from postpartum psychosis and therefore the baby might have abnormalities due to the medicines that she had been consuming. She also stated that she's not financially stable to bring up another child. Remember, she's already a mother to two. To this, the Apex Court directed the state to cover all medical expenses related to the pregnancy. However, while it pronounced this verdict, the Supreme Court also clarified that the decision to either give up the child for adoption or not later on lies solely with the mother. So what's medically, ethically and morally correct in this case? Lots of arguments, some in favor, some against. I asked my guests tonight, let me get in their view on what they think about this decision by the Supreme Court. I'm joined by, first of all, Dr. Aruna Kalra. She's a gynecologist. Dr. Harish Shetty joins us tonight. He's a psychiatrist. Anvesh Madhukar is a lawyer. Rekha Agarwal is also a lawyer. They're both on the broadcast with us. And Brinda Adige, activist, also joins us tonight. Thank you all very much. Good evening. First of all, let me start with you, Dr. Aruna Kalra. You're a gynecologist. So help us first understand what a 26-week pregnancy looks like. What is a viable fetus, as the Supreme Court has mentioned in its judgment? What does it really mean? For the benefit of our viewers, please simplify for us what exactly happens in a 26-week pregnancy.
Okay, so 26-week pregnancy is quite ahead in its gestational age. Baby is almost 800-900 grams, and it's a viable baby. If baby is delivered at this age, it can breathe by itself, and it needs, like, it is totally able to survive by its own if support system is provided in terms of warmth, feed, and other care. So it is quite a big baby, and I would say it is a gestation age where survival of neonate is infant is possible.
Okay, so we've got the biological process in place. Let me also get in what really is the postpartum psychosis that the woman has talked about in her argument. Let me go across to Dr. Harish Shetty first before I get the opinions of everybody else on the panel. Dr. Harish Shetty, help us understand what is postpartum psychosis and how is it different from postpartum depression that many women suffer from after delivery?
Postpartum psychosis and postpartum depression are two conditions which can occur during and after pregnancy. In this condition, you may have hallucinations, you may have delusions, you may have aggressive behavior, you may have hearing voices, which is hallucinations, you may have thoughts which are abnormal and not in touch with any reality. You may be aggressive, you may be violent, and you would actually display a lot of inappropriate behavior during postpartum psychosis. But one thing, postpartum psychosis is treatable, and mental illness is not what it is, but what it does.
Okay, okay, Brinda Adige, today's judgment by the Supreme Court has very many opinions. People have their opinions on it. They have been weighing their pros and cons when it comes to a woman's right to her body versus the rights of the unborn child. How do you see today's judgment really?
I personally think it is not fair to the woman, because here a woman is being not allowed to access abortion based on her own assessment of harm from the continuation of the pregnancy and the birth. And the court has rooted its decision on the right to life, endorsing the denial of the woman's personal liberty and autonomy of her body. So, listening to the two panelists before, if we want to really ask this question, what is the moral significance of a calendar date based on which the court gives heart cannot be stopped? A beating heart cannot be stopped. Now, the doctors would clearly share with us now that the heart starts beating. When does it start beating? When do I know there is a fetus there? There is something that is living. Why did somebody decide that it should be at the 20th week or the 24th week, but not in the 26th week? There is a lot of moral, ethical attachment to this. But what we want to ask ourselves is, while somebody might say that postpartum psychosis is treatable, we cannot guarantee that it is treatable, because that woman will still continue to suffer. Whatever may be her reasonings that she has given over there, what the court has done at the end of the day is to deny her autonomy over her body. And that right to life should first be given to the person now standing on earth and breathing and known as a full citizen. That right has been denied to her today.
Okay, Rekha Agarwal, you know, this was a 26-week pregnancy, and the court said that we cannot kill a heartbeat, we cannot stop a heartbeat. One, what is your thought on this judgment? Two, do you think this would have been the same verdict if, you know, perhaps the woman who had petitioned was a minor or a victim of rape? Do you think the court would have had the same views then?
See, first of all, I'll say that I do respect the Honorable Supreme Court and hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Brindaji, please go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Let me answer. I think the court's response would be certainly different if she was a minor, or if this woman had been raped, or probably the woman is not in, sound mental health. I'm sure the court's decision would be different. Here, the court continues to place the blame, the onus, that it was consensual sex that she had. She's in a marriage. She could have decided about it a couple of weeks ago. She was given the opportunity. All of those are just excuses. And I think the court was not fair to this woman. They should have treated it as her choice of not being able to handle the baby, and especially not being able to handle herself.
Okay, Rekha Agarwal, do you resonate with the fact that the onus has yet again been put on the woman when it comes to taking responsibility of the child, when it comes to perhaps, solely blaming her for making this, accusing her of killing an unborn child?
Absolutely.
I would just put it in a different manner. I'm not. I wouldn't really say that they are blaming her or or accusing her. But at the same time, I would put it in a better, in a more positive manner that the court holds her responsible for it. So I would say that I have read the judgment, whatever has been there in various channels, and I've read about the judgment, and I've been following it up in the last few days. And I really respect the Honorable Supreme Court. They have tried their best to reason out, But in all fairness, I do agree with the previous speaker, Brinda ji, that as far as the rights of the individual woman are concerned, to a great extent, they have been given a backseat. Here is a living woman, and she has a right to decide that whether she wants to keep the child or not. Whereas I do agree that in the year 2021, the law has come a long way, and now women have been given the right to decide to terminate their pregnancy, and the time has been extended to 24 weeks. But now this particular lady, the petitioner in this case, has in her own way given various reasons where, even keeping the postpartum psychosis problem aside, I would certainly say that no reason at all should be given. She doesn't have to justify why does she want to keep the fetus or not. Ultimately, I don't think any justification is required. If she feels that she cannot keep the baby for whatever reasons, I think that she as a mother has got a responsibility her whole life. It is not just giving birth to a baby and that is the end of the matter. Who is going to bring up the baby? For the whole life, it's not easy even bringing up a child, one single child. Here is a lady who's going to ultimately end up bringing up 3 children. She's financially weak. The Supreme Court has said, okay, we will take the burden. The state is going to take the burden, the financial burden of the delivery, etc. But it doesn't end at that. So a child needs a lot of blood, sweat and tears that a mother has to put in to bring up the child to stand on his or her own feet. So I feel that in this manner, in this particular case, I fully agree rather with the intervener, Mr. Colin Gonsalves, who had filed an intervening application in the Honorable Supreme Court. He has given very valid reasons where he said that simply because the AIMS doctors have said that the child has got a heartbeat, and should we stop the heartbeat? That is what the AIMS doctors have taken the consent. So Mr. Gonsalves has very clearly said that in every case of an abortion, actually the heartbeat has to stop. So whether the heartbeat has to stop at 24 weeks, the child, I'm quite certain that the respected gynae who has joined in this session, in the panel discussion, will agree that the child's heart starts beating even at 24 weeks. So if the child's heart is beating at 24 weeks, and if it's beating at 26 weeks, and if the mother is not going to be able to, bring up the child, it's not just giving a birth to a child and after the delivery, everything is over. Is who's going to look after? Who takes the responsibility of the child?
Okay.
It's a lifetime affair. So she's going to be saddled with a responsibility.
Yeah, Anvesh Madhukar, rightly said, here's a woman who's telling you on her own that she is suffering from postpartum psychosis. She's on medication. She has tried to take her life twice. She's not very stable financially. And in fact, in this case, even her husband doesn't want the child. What's the problem if you let them abort a baby that they don't want, that they don't think they will be able to 100%, 200% take care of?
Yes. So see, it has to be understood in perspective. Whether pro-choice or pro-life, these are not absolute terms. It has to be understood in certain context. Now, so far as choice is concerned, the lady does have a choice till a certain period. It has to be regularized. It cannot be absolute, like it is, I am the mother, therefore I can decide. Till what time can you decide? You will remain the mother even after the child is born. And if you're not financially capable, what do you do? What do you do with the child? You can always give it up for adoption. Like in this case also, if the concern is financial, then the court has said that the baby can be given. If you're giving up the child because you can't take care of the child, right? Now, if you can't take care of the child, there are other ways of doing so. And so far as choice is concerned, the lady did have a choice till the age, gestational age of 20 weeks, or 24 weeks in certain cases. So to say that the choice is taken away is, to my mind, not
But
true.
there are also concerns
And
of her
one
mental
will,
health. There are also concerns of her mental health, Anvesh. She has specifically said that a major reason is the fact that she's on medication for postpartum psychosis, and she in fact had a fear that probably the child has developed some abnormality. A point that the AIMS report then eventually cleared. But then the fact of the matter is, that here's a mother who's telling you that I am suffering from mental health issues and I need to get over them before I bring in another child into this, world.
yes, so she has been suffering over a year, if I am not mistaken, if the news articles are to be believed. She's been suffering with this for over a year. So obviously she was already suffering when she conceived, and maybe she did not know at the time when the conception happened, but for 20 weeks, there was possibly enough opportunity for her to figure out, but there is a possibility that she still didn't figure out. But there has to be a line that has to be drawn, because if it is be given in absolute color that the mother has an absolute right or it's absolute pro-life, it can't be decided like that, because it would give rise to a situation where even, if this has to be stretched for the sake of argument, it is akin to euthanasia, which is still arguable. It is still not permissible in our country. It is my life and I want to give it away. Can you do that? Under the Indian laws, you can't. So it is stretching to that level. If you say
Brinda
that
Adige, you want
since
to
it is my
respond to
child,
that? Does it
therefore,
amount to euthanasia when you say that you're unfit for, having a
No, it
baby,
doesn't.
that you're
No.
not
so
able to
therefore the
take care of
doctors
the
will
child?
assess.
Do you think?
Therefore the doctors will assess. And if, as per the doctors, it is a threat to the mother or the unborn child, then there is no bar. Then there is no time frame. Even at 33 weeks, even post 33 weeks, one can get the pregnancy aborted. But if suddenly
Okay, Rekha
somebody
Agarwal wants to
develops,
respond. Rekha Agarwal, please make your point. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add two things over here. I would just want to add that comparing it to euthanasia will be really stretching it too far. And in this particular case, this lady was not at fault. It's not as if she just waited for the pregnancy to become 26 weeks. She has cited medical reasons, and the gynae will agree with that, or the panel, that here was a case where she was not even aware of the fact that she was pregnant because she was lactating her previous baby. So because of that reason, so it was, she's absolutely, it's not as something as if she had consensual sex and she decided, she became pregnant, she slept over the matter, and suddenly she woke up and she wants to take over life. Oh, it's my body, my life, and I'm going to do that. No, this is not a case of somebody just being defiant and saying, because I'll do what I want. Here is a case where I agree with Anvesh that it has to be taken in a perspective. But here is a woman who cannot be faulted. Number one, she never knew about the fact that she had conceived for so long. It was not her fault. It was a biological reason. And number two, she's suffering from a psychosis, which, though of course the AIMS doctors have certified that there is no danger about that, but she is not herself in a fit condition to bring up another child in this world. So I think she also has a right to life. She has become pregnant, but just to say that, okay, because you're financially, okay, you're weak, okay, give away your child, isn't that going to be a very big moral, trauma that she's going to live with again? That, okay, I gave birth to a child and I had to give it away in abortion. So that is another, baggage, that cross that she's going to bear her whole life. So I think, why not save her that burden,
and imagine the child coming into this world and being told, imagine what the child has to go through when the child is born, and people tell him or her that, your parents were fighting a courtroom battle where they didn't want you. The kind of trauma that the child has to go through. Brinda Adige, you have to make your point. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to...
Absolutely.
Thank you. I just wanted to share
that
Brinda, there have been cases where, because of medical reasons, an abortion has happened even in the 33rd week, when the heart was beating. The child's heart is beating. We want to explain and give reasons and justifications that because of this, we allowed this. But here, we are not allowing it. That is what is the burden that is being placed on the woman, where we are telling this woman that, no, you can give up your child for abortion. Somebody else said, oh, but that is treatable. Whatever mental illness you have is treatable. Will you guarantee treatable? Would you? What about all the feelings and experiences that this child and the family have to go through once the child is given up in adoption? What about the family that adopts the child? We haven't taken all of these into consideration, but we put our entire, it is also a patriarchal notion that we have put down over here as the quote, where we've said that you have a choice to give up your child, but I will not allow you the choice to abort this child. And that is what I say is unfair and insensitive on the part of the court, because the question that I asked earlier was, on what moral grounds or moral significance is a calendar date attached to when an abortion can happen? That also has been done with a lot of thought, lot of progressive thought, lot of progressive pro-choice thought. And that is exactly what should have been given.
Can I also add a point here? The fact that, you know, the point of morality comes later. First, you see the biological, mental, social, economic considerations, and then you go to the morality part if you really have to. You have to see the condition of the mother, the father, and the child before you get into the discussion and debate in the ambit of morality. Dr. Harish Shetty, you wanted to make a point. Please go ahead.
I'm not looking at morality. I'm looking at stigma. When everybody says postpartum psychosis, she can't rear a child, it is increasing the stigma of mental illness. Most of them who speak like this are not educated about mental health. That is number one. Number two, what is very important is, Shreya, you are talking about hypothetical trauma. I heard others also talking about hypothetical trauma. What will happen when she's born? Well, how will the society react? These are hypothetical trauma which comes because the right of the woman is overwhelmingly supported as compared to the right of an unborn child. Let me say, we use the word patriarchy very loosely. Here, when you say postpartum psychosis, finish, not finish at all. People who say that because of postpartum psychosis, she can't rear a child, it's one of the most defeatist statements on mental illness and mental health treatment. So let me not look at rights alone. Let us look at the fact that let us not make a hawa of the mental illness. A lot of mental people, a lot of
Dr. Harish Shetty, when a woman is going through postpartum psychosis, does she not go through hallucinations?
Allow me to finish my point. No psychiatrist in AIMS has
okay,
said
make
that
your point, and then Brinda Adige wants to respond to you. Yeah.
No psychiatrist in AIMS has said that the mother is unfit to rear a child.
Okay, Brinda, please go ahead, make your point.
The mother, the woman says she feels she's unfit. Is she not capable of assessing her own self, her body, and what she will be going through for the rest of her life? The doctors can say what they want. The experts can say what they want. Nobody is making a halla-balla. You are making a halla-balla that this woman shall not be given the choice. Autonomy. One moment, sir, one moment.
I heard you. It can't be only right-based, and you can't put patriarchy as a blame for every action. Postpartum psychosis is treatable. If the psychiatrist says she's unfit to take care of the child, this illness will not recover at all. There's a family history of the illness. There are other issues around the illness that would make this the person or the other woman a bad prognosis. Then it's a different story. Show me whether the treating doctors, mental health doctors, have said that she's unfit. In many cases in Mumbai, when the child was to be taken away from a mentally ill patient, the Child Welfare Committee and the government and various human rights activists found that even if the patient is taking treatment for psychosis, she is fit to rear a child. So let's not beat the drum of psychosis all the time. Let's look at the issue very holistically and not only through the rights perspective.
I will look at it only from the rights perspective because that is my constitutional guarantee and that is her constitutional guarantee. I feel sad that she had to come to the court with all of these various reasons and justification instead of just saying, I don't think I want this child now. I want an abortion. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of it on the 20th, on the 22nd, or the 24th week. I decided it on the 26th, and this is my right. I want to live a life where I
And
do
can I
not
also
have to
make a
feel
point,
guilty, I
Dr.
don't have
Harish
to feel
Shetty?
sad, upset.
None of us here have said that it is untreatable, that she's mentally unfit. It is treatable, like you're saying. She herself is saying that she's on medication. She is undergoing treatment for the postpartum psychosis that she's suffering. But in between, she does not want to have that child
That's
because
all.
she
She doesn't want
considers
to have the
herself
child.
not being able to give her 100%. And if a mother, as a mother, if I'm feeling that I'm not able to give my 100% in raising my child, then what's really the point of it all? Rekha
There are
Agarwal, you want
many
to come in?
mothers.
Please go ahead.
Absolutely. Her choice. She
There are
doesn't
many
want to be the
mothers.
mother.
Yes, I just want to say over here that I just
There
want
are
to say
many
over here
mothers.
that now
Yeah,
I have a
Rekha
very
ji.
different take on this. Let us, no, I would personally look at it in this manner that no woman should have to give any reason for terminating her pregnancy. Forget, assuming that this lady in question was not suffering from this, postpartum psychosis problem. Let us assume that she was not even suffering, from economic problem. Supposing she was fit and fine, a healthy woman, she's financially also well off, but again, that she does not want to bring the child in this world, period. There could be any reason at all. Maybe she just doesn't want a third child.
Absolutely. Very
Maybe
fair
she's having
point.
marital problems
Yeah.
or anything. Or maybe she wants to advance her career. So there could be so many reasons that she would not like to disclose to the whole world. That is her life, her body. And ultimately, let us not forget the fact that come what may, and here I would again, as Brinda ji used the word patriarchal, to some extent, ultimately, the entire burden of bringing up a child initially at least falls on the mother's shoulders. Of course, howsoever much the father may be very positive and contributing fully to bringing up the child. But here is, let us take the case of a woman. Forget the fact, let us keep aside the psychosis, let us keep aside the economic problem. I, as a woman, I become pregnant, I don't want to keep the child. Shouldn't it just end over there? I really do appreciate what the Honorable Supreme Court is saying about life of a fetus, etc., etc. But shouldn't priority be given to the person who is already existing on Mother Earth? It ultimately, how is this woman going to bring up a child? She doesn't want to bring up a child. She doesn't want a third baby. Or she maybe doesn't even want a first baby. What if she doesn't even want one child at all? She just wants to live a life without any children. Should she be forced to bring up a life
okay.
in this
Anvesh
earth?
wanted to
That
make
is
a
what I
point.
feel is the question that is the moot point, and not psychosis or anything else.
Yes, I want to say
Okay,
rights do
Anvesh,
not
you wanted to
exist
make
in
a point?
vacuum.
Yeah.
Yes, rights do not exist in vacuum. If I have a right, that would mean I have certain duties. My right will not infringe your rights. It do not exist in vacuum. So if you look at the woman's right, therefore there is certain
Yes.
right given to an unborn child also in law. An unborn child has a right over property, etc. So the moment a child is conceived, the child has certain rights. How do you weigh one over the other? It can't be. It has to be understood. And that's why I'm saying there cannot be a straight jacket formula, and rights do not exist in vacuum. My right has I have certain duties if I have a certain right. I can't only say I have rights and I have no duties. That's the point I wanted to make.
Okay. Well, nobody is saying that nobody is saying, Anvesh, that rights are 100% and they don't come with responsibilities or duties. And perhaps the woman was also trying to say the same thing, that if I have had the right to conceive and right to have this baby, I also have a responsibility towards it, which I don't think I'm capable of taking on right now. But I also want to talk about and, shift our focus to a very important point that perhaps we've missed in this whole conversation, is the fact that Dr. Harish Shetty talked about the taboo, the stigmatization of postpartum psychosis. But I also want to bring in a point about, how much do we talk about women's mental health post-delivery? How many women are told about postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis? And here's a woman who is talking about it, who's giving you the reason that, look, I am going through something that a lot of women go through. They don't talk about it, but here I am telling you that this is my problem. I am undergoing treatment for it, and therefore let me have my abortion. Brinda, you wanted to make a point.
Yes, I was just going to talk about what you just now spoke. Thank you so much. This woman has come out and spoken about her mental illness, the state of her mental health. And this is something that every woman goes through, different degrees and different intensities. And that is the importance and significance that we must give to this particular woman when she's talking about it and saying that the state needs to step in to help with due regard to all the support that anybody wants to give to her, and also give in writing that she can overcome all of it, she still has to bear all the pain, the trauma. And this is her body. And that choice she has already gone through with two other children. So she knows exactly what she's going through, what's exactly there in store for her. And that is why her rights should have prevailed over the unborn child's rights.
Yeah, Dr. Harish Shetty, you're a psychiatrist yourself. I'm sure you've had experiences of talking with women who go through postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. They are treatable, but with the kind of experiences, feelings, emotions that women go through during this mental health disturbance, do you think they will be able to nurture and take care of a newborn baby? It's difficult. And with the lack of the support system that we have in our society, in our culture right now.
I think we should not generalize. Many a times, the gynecologist and the psychiatrist and the family sit together and come up with a viable decision, which the family would, we share facts and the family takes their own decision. But that only happens when the depression is extremely severe and untreatable, when the psychosis is such so bad that the patient, that the person has symptoms and does not remit at all with medications or ECTs or other methods. But when I've seen women who have killed their children, first baby, and then after treatment had normal children after that. I've had a woman who had killed 3 children in the villages because of postpartum psychosis. Then after being hospitalized and treated for the postpartum psychosis, she's had children after that at two. I know one case which had two. So it's a collective sharing of information, and the patient and the family takes a decision. But I don't think we should stigmatize postpartum psychosis. And number two, a lot of women take medications for life, and they have children. And the risks of having a child who's probably having a disability is explained. And there are tests which are very, 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 very high tech, high end. But let me tell
No,
you,
but Dr.
even if you
Shetty, if
don't
you
take
compare
medicines,
illnesses
if you
like
don't take
blood
medicines,
pressure problems and diabetes for which you have to take lifelong medicines, those are very different. Those are very evident,
no, ma'am. Again, you are
non-self-harming
increasing
illnesses that
the
one goes
stigma of
through.
mental illness.
Mental health
Shreya, you are
issues are
increasing the
perhaps
stigma of
not
mental illness.
visible to the
No,
eye,
I
but
don't
they're
agree with you,
extremely
ma'am. You are
dangerous.
increasing the stigma of mental illness. Please read up
Not the
and
stigma.
check.
What is
A
the
lot
stigma
of
in saying
patients.
that mental health illnesses can be invisible?
No, of course they're invisible. Of course, a lot of mental illnesses are invisible. Depression is invisible. It's
So
invisible.
that was
Things are
exactly my
changing,
point,
man.
sir. That was exactly
Women
my
are,
point. Of course, things are changing, no doubt about that, and I'm glad that awareness is coming in when it comes to mental health issues. But we also have to take consideration of the fact that there still is a lack of awareness when it comes to invisible symptoms of mental health concerns. Let me give the last word to Dr. Aruna Kalra.
one
Dr.
line,
Aruna, do
ma'am.
you
If
think
you
medically this case could have been an exception? This case could have been an exception, medically. It's a 26-week pregnancy. We have a 24-week threshold in India. Do you think this case could have been made an exception and given the permission to abort, considering the fact that medically the petitioner has said that she's not, medically right now fit to take care of the child?
Shreya, see, the thing is that we are now very well versed to take care of baby more than 24 weeks of gestation. When baby is born at 26 weeks, it has good weight, it's breathing, and we just cannot let the baby, like as soon as baby is born, we have to support the baby with warmth, with some food, with some care. And if baby is able to survive by its own, what are you supposed to do? So as a gynecologist, as a pediatrician, baby is able to survive. And Shreya, like I'm listening to all of them and I respect everybody, but in my practice, I'm seeing people coming for female feticide at 20, 24 and all, and they're making lots of excuses and not telling about this lady. But because we have been facing this problem also, and it's like, it's so rampant, and I'm telling you that at 26 weeks, baby is absolutely fully developed and it's able to survive. You leave that baby, just leave the baby there, and still baby would survive. So I'm not able to understand. And about psychosis, it's totally treatable. It is absolutely normal for every female to go through postpartum psychosis and recover from it with family support. We don't even need sometimes tablets or treatment. It's just family support, counseling, and sometimes not even that. So, see, psychosis is not a big trouble. Baby is totally viable. And even if we don't give that baby a support, baby still would be viable. Okay, so I am not able to understand because already our court has extended from 20 to 24. That 24 is again a big limit for abortion. And after that, once baby is viable, I think that baby also has a right, as rightly said. So
Okay.
Shreya, as
okay, Dr. Aruna Kalra.
Just one question.
Rekha ji, I'm afraid I have to wrap this discussion up. I have paucity of time. Quickly, 20 seconds, Dr. Kalra, and then I'll wrap this up.
So I think, see,
is the child viable at 24 weeks? Is the fetus
it's viable after 24 weeks? Baby is viable. At 26 weeks, baby is absolutely viable. Can breathe. It's viable, and it would be really difficult once baby is born. What would you do if baby is breathing? If baby is alive, what are you going to do? Even if you go for abortion, baby would be viable.
Dr. Aruna Kalra, I wish it was as easy and as smooth as you are explaining it for the mother who has to bring in this child into the world and raise it. But for now, I'll wrap this discussion up. Thank you very much to all my panelists, Anvesh Madhukar, Dr. Harish Shetty, Dr. Aruna Kalra, Brinda Adige and Rekha Agarwal. Thank you very much for joining us tonight and sharing your thoughts on this contentious judgment by the Supreme Court today.